Welcome into Bucko Booth, everybody. My name is Benson Fector, and I'll be the host of your show today. Thank you for tuning in live, archived, however you're doing it, and wherever you're doing it. We appreciate it. We have a very exciting episode to get into today. We're going to be talking about the draft class, what roster moves the team should make, Mitch Keller discussion, Rookie Davis, and the game last night. So a lot to get into this week, and later in the show we're going to hear my conversation from earlier this week with 5th-round draft pick Grant Ford, so make sure you stay tuned for that. We got a lot to get into. It was an interesting week, to say the least, for the Pirates, so let's get right into our weekly recap. So on Saturday, the Pirates dropped the game to the Brewers by a score of 12-10. On Sunday, they lost the series by a score of 4-2, losing the series in the process. On Tuesday, they welcomed the Braves into town, losing by a score of 12-5. Wednesday, they evened up the series, winning 7-4. And Thursday, they won their first series since the San Diego Padres series by a score of 6-1. And last night, they were defeated by the Brewers by a score of 10-4. The transactions from this week: on Tuesday, Pittsburgh Pirates placed catcher Francisco Cervelli on the 10-day injured list with his concussion. And on Wednesday, Pirates sent right-handed pitcher Jesus Lorenzo outright to Indianapolis after he cleared the waivers. Let's head into our mailbag questions for the week that you guys sent in on the Instagram account. I'm going to take 2 questions this week. Our first question from this week regards the playoff caliber nature of this team. It comes from the Hungry Pumpkin. He wants to know, do you think we can be a playoff caliber team once Tyon and Williams get back? Of course we can be a playoff caliber team, and that was evidenced last night, right? So we start Rookie Davis last night, and he goes 3 innings, giving up 3 runs. Clay Holmes comes in, does his job in an inning, and then Nick Kingham has a great first inning. Second inning, he got beat by Ryan Braun, and the rest is history from last night, as he gave up 6 runs, 5 earned. But that type of game last night, rather than starting Rookie Davis and only having him go 3 games, rather than Rookie Davis starting, you're going to start somebody like a Jameson Tyon, like a Trevor Williams, who are going to give you 6-7 innings, 3 runs or less. Like, that's just the type of pitchers that those guys are. And as well as some of the other bullpen entries as well, to Nick Birdie and Keone Kela, and then even going further to Edgar Santana and the ineffectiveness of Richard Rodriguez. So with all that combined, it leads to a game like last night, and that's the type of game that you're going to lose when you're as hurt as we are. Now, once we get healthy, we will be a playoff caliber team. Just got to keep our heads around or above water. Next question, and our final question today, is from Mason. Who's getting sent down with Dickerson and Gong coming back? I'm not going to get into my exact predictions yet, because we're going to go into that later into the show. But Jung Ho Gong, Corey Dickerson are expected to be activated before this afternoon's game against the Milwaukee Brewers. And the question becomes, who goes down? Somebody is going to either have to be put on the 60-day injured list or designated for assignment to make room for Corey Dickerson on both the 40-man and the active roster. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Maybe Chris Stratton to the 60-day. And maybe a guy like Nick Kingham gets DFA'd. We'll see what happens with that. And then with Gong coming back, potentially Jose Ozuna gets sent down. Maybe a bullpen piece like Jeff Hartley or Alex McRae. But it'll be interesting to see. We'll get into that a little bit later in the show. But thank you again for the 2 mailbag questions that we are taking this week. Let's get into our weekly awards. Player of the week goes to Adam Frazier, a .300 average, 6 for 20, and an RBI. Adam Frazier was moved to the 8th spot, and he's been raking as the 8-hole hitter, and really, he needed a shake-up in that lineup, because he'd been our leadoff hitter for the majority of the season. Like 50 games into the season, he was the leadoff hitter, and he wasn't getting the job done. He had a decent first half of April, as chronicled here on the show, but then really he was cold until he's moved to the 8-hole, and then upon moving to that 8th spot, he's starting to hit again. He had the triple last night. He's been hitting all week, so good stuff from Adam Frazier. And ideally, he'd be our leadoff hitter, because when he's on, he can win a batting title. He's one of the best hitters in the league when he's on. When he's off, he's not, and he's been off more than on so far this season, and that's why he was moved to the 8-hole. But hopefully, him batting 8th he can keep this good momentum that he's built going. Richard Rodriguez for pitcher of the week in 2 innings, in 2 games, 1 hit, no runs, a strikeout, no walks. That's good for a 0.50 whip. And this would be very important and huge to this Pittsburgh Pirates bullpen if Richard Rodriguez can regain the form that we saw in the 2018 season. We've talked about it at length on this show, how he has struggled, and it's mainly been with the long ball, right? And I understand why that happens because he throws this high fastball, and if he's not having the deception that he used to have, if you're throwing high fastballs in the low to mid-90s in the major leagues and you don't have that elite deception, you're going to get hit out of the ballpark. And if your off-speed stuff isn't elite and you end up leaving that up in the zone, you're also going to get hit out of the ballpark. But Richard Rodriguez in this past week has shown that he is still a capable major league relief pitcher, and very happy with the work that he put in this week. So good stuff from Rich Rod. Rookie of the week goes to Brian Reynolds, a .381 average, 8 for 21, and 3 RBIs. And this is going to be the interesting discussion that's going to take place a little bit later in the show, is what do you do with Brian Reynolds when Corey Dickerson returns? Because Brian Reynolds, to be honest, has been one of the best hitters in baseball since he was called up on April 20th. He has the second highest batting average in that time and holds the highest average among all rookies in all of baseball. He has a 15-game hitting streak, the longest active in all of baseball right now. You cannot bench this guy. Now, yes, I will perfectly understand if Brian gets an afternoon off today, Corey Dickerson gets to start in his return. That's understandable. But Clint Hurdle's going to have to keep Brian Reynolds in that lineup more often than not because he's been a huge piece in a Pirates offense that has been very good so far in the 2019 season. Now, Corey Dickerson is great, but to be honest, Brian Reynolds is better at this point. Glove of the week goes to Adam Frazier, 30 total chances, 21 assists, 9 putouts, 3 double plays, no errors. And we've talked about Adam Frazier being the permanent second baseman, what that's meant for his glove, and it's only really improved his glove and what he can do defensively. When he's bouncing around the field in left field and right field, third base, second base, shortstop, you name it, he could do it all. He's a utility man, right? And that's what he was when he first came up with the Pirates. But in the latter half of the 2018 season, he took over for Josh Harrison as a full-time second baseman. And since then, his defense has really picked up with it. And it's exciting and encouraging to see the defense that Adam Frazier has shown in second base. Because he has an underrated glove, and it doesn't get highlighted, and that's why I'm highlighting it this week. He has a solid glove. He doesn't make errors. He doesn't make mistakes. Good stuff this week, and that's why also winning our Player of the Week. So good stuff from Frazier, Rich Rod, and Brian Reynolds. Hopefully they can keep it up as we move deeper into the month of June and deeper into the 2019 season. The Pittsburgh Pirates spent the beginning of this week drafting 42 prospects over 40 rounds over 3 days. Did they find any talent? The Pittsburgh Pirates had an opportunity to bring in some high upside players this year during the Major League Baseball draft. The team had 4 picks, 2 extra on the first night of the draft. The team had the 18th overall pick along with an overall draft bonus allotment of $9.94 million. This allotment was the 11th highest amount in the league, so how do they make out in this year's draft? At the top, the Pittsburgh Pirates did what everyone seemed to think they would. They drafted prep right-hander Quinn Priester. Priester was mocked to the Bucks by Baseball America, MLB Pipeline, and Fangraphs. It seemed pretty obvious. The Bucks were very much connected to the young man from Illinois. The Bucks made Priester the highest drafted prep pitcher in this year's draft. He has the makeup to be a top-of-the-rotation arm. The one real question mark here is whether the team should have taken a college arm or bat instead. The team is young and should be competing in the future. A college player could have impacted the team a lot quicker than a projectable prep pitcher. The team also did a nice job of bringing in interesting players. The team took 4 hitters that were at least 6'3" or taller, all out of college. Could the Pittsburgh Pirates be trying to bring in more projectable power? It would make sense with the direction the league is going and the lack of power the team currently has on their roster. They also took multiple players who played multiple positions in college. In the 4th round, they took Florida State reliever J.C. Flowers, who's also played the outfield. Then in the 6th round, they took Stanford outfielder Will Matheson, who they announced as a pitcher. The last player came in the 8th round when they took USC catcher Blake Sable and announced him as a right fielder. Is the team looking for athletic players who can play multiple roles? The last note is that amount of outfielders in the Pittsburgh Pirates draft class. Having a strong outfield has been one of the most consistent things under Neil Huntington. He made sure to bring in plenty of outfield talent to continue that trend in the future. He brought in 5 new outfielders inside the top 11 rounds. They only drafted 2 other offensive positions that were not outfielders, a shortstop and a third baseman. All in all, the Bucks had a decent draft. They got a couple of interesting prep players in Quinn Priester and Sammy Ciani. They also added a lot of big and athletic college hitters and pitchers who could move through the system a little quicker. What it comes down to is that they hit on a few of the picks, and Priester becomes a top of the rotation arm. And if you can do that, then this 2019 draft class will be a success. So I had the opportunity to have a conversation with Pirates 5th round selection Grant Ford. He was drafted in the 5th round by the Pirates out of the University of Nevada. Great conversation that I was able to have with him this week, and I'm going to let you guys listen to that in a minute. Again, he was picked in the 5th round, 154th overall, and I love the kid. He was a great conversation to have with, and really couldn't have asked for more out of Grant Ford, and I believe you're going to enjoy the conversation that we had as well. So I'm going to let you guys take a listen to this, and we'll recap at the end of the conversation. So here is my conversation with Pirates 5th round selection out of Nevada. Right-handed pitcher, Grant Ford.
What was your first reaction to being drafted by the Pittsburgh Pirates?
Honestly, it kind of took a while for it to set in. I was pumped. It took me like an hour for it to truly hit me. Then it was just pure joy. It's something I dreamed of my whole entire life. And, I mean, my first 2 years of college baseball, I didn't perform at my top ability. So if you told me 2 years ago I'd be going in the 5th round, I would have said you're crazy. So it really hit me. I mean, I had my family and friends around me, so that was a big deal. But yeah, it was probably one of the top moments of my life.
Yeah, and speaking of the rough the rough freshman season at Nevada, 3-6 record, 7.53 ERA, then 8.16 ERA in your sophomore year. Did your confidence waver at all, and how were you able to bounce back to have the year you had this season?
100%. I mean, there's always dark times, but I was young. I didn't know how to harness stuff yet, how to harness emotions and how to move on to the next day, the next pitch, just working pitch by pitch. The main thing I did was last summer, I kind of just re-educated myself on the mental side more than the physical side. I read Head First Baseball by Ken Revisa, which is just the mental side of baseball. It helped me a lot. Then I read Relentless, which is written by Kobe Bryant's old trainer, and just how Kobe got into his mental state, how he competed, and those both helped me a lot.
For sure. And you said you were with your family when you found out that you were being drafted. What was that moment like, not only for you, but for your friends and family that were around you?
It was a big deal. My mom just started crying tears of joy, which was shocking to me, but I mean, my parents have always wanted the best for me. They're my main supporters this season. They were at every weekend series besides one, even home or away. So it was very big having them with me, and having my friends and teammates was also a huge deal. I mean, they've been with me through this whole ride.
For sure. And I know you were just drafted, but has the signing procedure began with the Pirates, and if so, what has that been like?
It has not started yet. I'm driving home to San Jose, and I'll be flying out to Pittsburgh soon. Then I'm going to do my physical and stuff there.
All right. And can you explain to our listeners sort of the type of pitcher that you are and what you believe you can bring to Pittsburgh one day?
All right. First off, I'm not as small as written. It says I'm 6'1", 175. I'm actually 6'3", 190. That was from my freshman year. But, I mean, I'm a fun, energetic guy. I bring a lot of energy. And when I step on the mound, I'm a pure competitor.